The bank gave a final deadline, 7 days. 7 days before escalation, 7 days before permanent damage. And in those 7 days, my sister did nothing. No payment, no plan, no remorse. You know that feeling when you think things can't get worse? And then the phone rings. That's what happened next. After my sister turned the family against me, after I became the villain in everyone's story, the bank called again. But this time, it wasn't just a reminder. It was a warning. I was at work when my mom texted, "Call me, it's urgent." I knew that tone. When I called her back, she didn't sound angry. She sounded scared. The bank had escalated the missed payment. The $18,000 loan wasn't just late anymore. It was officially in default. And once something hits default, the clock starts ticking. I asked her the one question she avoided for weeks. Did she make any payments? Silence, then she said. She said she would. Would. Future tense. The most dangerous tense in a financial agreement. Apparently, my sister had promised to handle it. But instead of paying, she had been telling everyone how unfair I was. So while she was protecting her image, interest was stacking, penalties were stacking, risk was stacking. The bank told my mom if the payment wasn't resolved soon, they would begin collection procedures. Not just calls, not just letters, formal action. And here's where it got real. My mom had co-signed, which meant the debt wasn't just my sister's problem. It was legally hers too. For the first time, my mom realized something terrifying. This wasn't about pride anymore, it was about liability. She called my sister that night. I wasn't there, but I heard about it later. Apparently, my sister said something that finally cracked the illusion. She said, "Well, you offered to help. It's not my fault." That sentence changed everything, because helping is voluntary, but responsibility isn't. My mom finally asked her, "Are you planning to pay this?" And instead of saying yes, my sister said, "Why is this all about money with you?" Deflection. Classic. When facts corner someone, they attack the emotion instead. A week later, the bank called again. This time they weren't polite. They mentioned collections, credit impact, legal review. That's when my mom called me again. And for the first time since this started, she didn't sound defensive. She sounded small. She asked me, "What would you do?" Not as an accusation, as advice. I told her the truth. You need to stop protecting her. Because every time she protected her, she transferred the damage to herself and to me. Meanwhile, my sister was still posting online, still playing the victim, still telling people how heartless I was. But something had shifted, because fear changes tone. And now my mom wasn't worried about appearances. She was worried about numbers. Then came the letter, certified mail, formal notice of default, 30 days. 30 days before escalation. 30 days before possible legal action. 30 days before long-term credit damage. And guess what? My sister didn't open it. She left it on the kitchen counter, like ignoring paper could erase ink. That night, my mom cried. Not because of me, not because of arguments, but because reality doesn't care about narratives. Reality cares about payment schedules. I asked her something hard. If I hadn't reported her, would this still be happening? She didn't answer, because she knew. Yes, it would. It just would have been delayed. But here's the twist. My sister still didn't take responsibility. Instead, she said, "You're all overreacting. Overreacting to legal default. Overreacting to collections. Overreacting to consequences." That's when I understood something clearly. This wasn't immaturity. It was entitlement. And then something happened that none of us expected. The bank requested documentation, income proof, asset information. If they moved forward, this could impact more than just credit. It could affect refinancing, insurance rates, future loans, everything. Suddenly, this wasn't just drama. It was systemic damage. My mom finally saw what I saw weeks ago, that protecting someone from consequences doesn't remove the consequences, it just moves them. And here's the part nobody was ready for. My sister started blaming my mom, saying, "If you hadn't co-signed, this wouldn't be your problem." Which is technically true, but morally empty. That night, my mom asked her to move out. Not in anger, in exhaustion. And my sister said something chilling. "You'll regret this." Not apology, not accountability, a threat. Now, the family wasn't just divided, it was unstable. And I realized something. When money collapses, so do masks. For the first time, my mom didn't defend her. She stopped answering relatives. She stopped explaining. She stopped trying to control the narrative because the numbers were louder than the gossip. And now I need to ask you something. If someone keeps choosing pride over responsibility, at what point do you stop saving them? Because in episode 6, the illusion finally breaks. And when it does, it doesn't end quietly. If you want to see what happens next, subscribe right now. Turn on notifications because episode 6 is where denial ends and consequences begin. See you in the next episode. And here's the part nobody warned us about. Debt doesn't just affect your credit. It changes how people look at each other. It changes trust. It changes power. For weeks, my sister controlled the narrative. She controlled the emotions. She controlled the sympathy. But she couldn't control the numbers. And numbers don't care who cries louder. They just keep counting. 7 days. That was the deadline. 7 days before this stopped being family drama and started becoming legal damage. I watched my mom shift, not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly. The defense was gone. The excuses were thinner. The fear was real. Because this wasn't about pride anymore, it was about survival. And here's what I realized. When someone refuses responsibility long enough, eventually responsibility finds them anyway, just not gently. So now I'll ask you something. If someone keeps choosing pride over accountability, how long do you keep saving them? At what point does helping become enabling? Because in episode 6, the illusion finally breaks, and when it does, it doesn't happen in private. It happens in a way none of us expected. If you want to see how this escalates, subscribe now. Turn on notifications, because what happens next isn't emotional, it's irreversible. See you in episode 6.